Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Todd Davidson. I'm the CEO of Travel Oregon, and I also have the privilege and the pleasure of serving as the chair of the Brand USA Board of Directors. And it's my pleasure to welcome everybody to our last official board meeting of this calendar year, and also, as it turns out, my last meeting as your chair. I really, in reflecting on the meeting and this meeting in particular, I really would just want to begin by thanking all the board members. We're not a homogeneous group of individuals. We bring very different perspectives. We bring very different lifestyles. We bring very different pathways to even serving on this board. We represent different sectors and pillars of the industry. We have different life experiences. We have different senses of priorities, and we also have different hopes and dreams. But we're all unified around a very common purpose, and that is doing our level best to provide guidance and counsel and support to the work of Brand USA. I want to give a very special thanks to Mark and to Mark Hoplamazian and Don Moore, as they are rotating off the board this year. I want to thank you both for your service to the board at Brand USA. And we do have a very full agenda today with financials, forecasts, upcoming program highlights, past program performances, and also the election of officers, as I noted, with this being my last meeting as your chair. So with that, it is my great pleasure at this point to turn the floor over to, I'm still going to say new. I know you feel like a grizzled veteran, and it's not just the color of your beard, but it's just, but truly, Fred, it's just an absolute pleasure to have you in this seat and to welcome you to our board meeting today as our president and our CEO.
Thank you very much. It would be my first duty just to remind you, we should approve the minutes, I think, first. Before we move
and that's why the secretary is leaning over the top of you to remind me that before I turn it over to you, I should be approving the minutes. This is why we do annotated agendas that I choose not to follow. So the next item for consideration before turning it over to Fred is the approval of the minutes from our July 24, 2024 board meeting. I want to acknowledge at the onset that there are some typographical errors in the minutes. They do not change the substance of our deliberations or our decisions, but there are some typographical errors that have been noted by the staff. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes with the assurances that those typographical changes will be made. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from July 24th meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. Hearing none, the minutes are accepted. Fred.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you for my do-over.
Pleasure. No, thank you for that. It's wonderful to see you all. Good afternoon, everyone here with us in Washington, and good day to everyone that's joining us virtually. On behalf of the staff, I would like to add our deep appreciation to Don and Mark for their service as they begin to rotate off the board. I know our team has greatly enjoyed working with you both, and we are grateful for the time and the support that you have given this organization. I also want to thank Todd for his remarkable leadership as chair this year, especially since this is your last meeting in this role. You've been incredibly generous with your time and your spirit and your energy, and I know I personally thank you, as do the staff. We've all benefited from your steady hand and your thoughtful stewardship. So thank you.
Even if I ignore the annotated agenda.
We got this together. We got this together.
Thank you, Fred.
It is, it's hard to believe, here we are in this warm, sunny fall day in Washington, that it's near the end of 2024 already. The holidays are coming next week. Time is moving quickly. As Todd mentioned, I just passed my 4th month in this role and remain more enthusiastic than ever about the work, the team, and the opportunities that are ahead of us. Now, we are just 2 weeks, of course, past a major election here in the U.S., and some of you may wonder if there's any impact on Brand USA's efforts in international tourism. And I'm happy to report that as a nonpartisan, non-political organization, our important work on behalf of the U.S. economy and the American people continues at pace. And we look forward to working with the next administration to continue growing our contributions to GDP and to local economies. It's business as usual here at Brand USA, and it's full steam ahead for us as we continue driving vital international leisure and business travelers inbound to explore destinations and experiences across every part of our country. In fact, just a couple of notes that I think are important to call out. Spending over the last 12 months by visitors to the U.S. Was almost $250 billion. And that's greater than any 12-month period in history. The travel and tourism trade surplus year to date is $5 billion. The travel and tourism industry accounts for 8% of all exports year to date, and that's up from 5% in 2023, and 23% of services exports year to date, and that's up from 16% last year. So the contributions of international inbound tourism to the economy, to the GDP, and the health of the nation is indisputable. And in 2025, we expect to once again set new records for inbound travel. We will finally pivot from recovery to growth over 2019 next year. A seminal moment, not just in the number of visitors, but economic impact and spending by travelers, which support small businesses and communities of every size. As we look forward, we continue to build on the foundational strengths of the past, and the exciting work has begun to forge a new Brand USA equipped to meet this moment. Since taking the helm in July, I've been able to meet with many within the industry and will continue to host listening sessions over the many months ahead. I welcome your ideas and your input, and as you've heard me say before, each of you have a role to play in how we move forward. How we create a new era of global inbound travel is top of mind as we do this work. I'm focused on capitalizing on the foundation that has been set to maximize the opportunities before us and ultimately widen the competitive edge of the United States as the #1 long-haul destination in the world. Now, in pursuit of that goal, you've likely heard that we've added a number of new positions to the team. By further investing in areas like our culture as a company, strategic partnerships, global communications, AI and innovation, trade engagement, product development, including meetings and events, we are going to advance our mission to increase inbound visitation and keep Brand USA best in class. With talented finance, legal, and corporate affairs senior leadership already in place, when I joined the organization, just in the last month, we have welcomed 4 industry veterans to the team in the leadership roles, and I'd like to acknowledge them and once again welcome them to Brand USA. First up, Angie Briggs, Senior Vice President of Industry Engagement and Partnerships and Chief Development Officer. Chris Haywood, Senior Vice President of Public Relations and Chief Communications Officer. Jeanette Rausch, Senior Vice President of Innovation and Chief AI Officer. And Malcolm Smith, Senior Vice President of Global Markets and Chief Trade and Product Officer. And in September, Monica Lopez joined us as Chief of Staff and Culture, joining us from New York City Tourism, where she served with me in a very similar capacity. So I want to welcome them all to the team once again. I am beyond thrilled to have their experience, their creativity, and their collaborative spirit already hard at work for our mission. Now, we are still actively recruiting for our Chief Marketing Officer, and once that position is on board, this expanded leadership team will work hand in hand to develop short, medium, and long-term strategies to grow U.S. market share, strengthen our organization, and create opportunities for all of you into the future, while contributing to our economy and, of course, communities across the country. And how is that going to play out? So, for example, we have a huge opportunity to grow our storytelling capabilities in media relations. And Chris has already started to build a new internal team dedicated to PR and reputation management. In fact, we have positions posted and out in the field today. So I encourage anyone interested in this work to reach out. This team will showcase and merchandise all of the positive news and exciting experiences found across the country and help to advance the dynamic image of the United States around the world. And when it comes to innovation and AI, we recognize the landscape is rapidly changing. And it's important to stay ahead of the curve, embrace new technologies, and help lead the industry through this evolution with a goal of enhancing our partnerships, increasing marketing effectiveness and consumer engagement to ultimately increase bookings to the U.S. and improve the visitor experience itself. Now, the backbone of our organization are our partnerships with the industry. It is your contributions that power our work, and we thank you for the record support that we've been experiencing. The team has a renewed focus on finding new ways to enhance your engagement, advance promotional programming, and expand our base of stakeholders further. And as we grow the business for the future, continuing to build upon and expand our work with the travel trade remains vitally important. We're going to be focusing even more on product development, and that includes with receptive tour operators, travel wholesalers, and retailers to drive travelers into communities again throughout the country. And new initiatives to attract international meetings and events will also be a priority, like corporate incentive groups, product launches, manufacturing tours, and so much more. This will also include attracting sports fans, like for the World Cup and the Olympics and the Ryder Cup and new global tournaments. including the booming sector of youth and amateur groups that hold events and destinations of every size and scale. Our goal is to make the U.S. more competitive in hosting these events throughout the country. There is a tremendous opportunity here to increase that competitiveness and tap into new business opportunities for the United States. And to our advantage, we do have a decade of major events on the horizon that are going to capture the world's attention. And together with our partners, we will invite the world to explore every corner of our country, from World Pride and the Ryder Cup, America 250, the 100th anniversary of Route 66, and of course the FIFA World Cup, to the 2028 Summer and 2034 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games, and more. The USA will be the center of sports, culture, and entertainment over the next decade, and we will maximize each and every one of those events. Next up, we will briefly reflect on recent activity, provide perspective on the inbound travel landscape in which we are operating, and review 3 specific initiatives furthering our 2025 objectives, and begin to look ahead to FY26. It's been a very busy few months at Brand USA with the staff engaging the industry across the globe. I had the privilege of speaking recently at 2 governors' conferences in my home state of Tennessee, which was nice that I got to make that my first one. It was a really nice full circle moment to be with the industry there, and then also to Hawaii, who is still recovering in some ways from the wildfires, but is growing at pace. It was terrific to be in both of those communities. My colleague Aaron attended the World Travel and Tourism Council annual meeting in Perth, Australia, and he most recently spoke at the San Diego Tourism Authority's annual meeting to help them celebrate 70 years of destination marketing. So congrats to Julie and the team out in San Diego on that important milestone. And over in Australia, at South by Southwest, Sydney, our colleague Susie Shepherd oversaw the USA House, our new consumer activation. This is the 2nd year we've done it, and this time in partnership with Visit Utah, Travel Nevada, Travel Oregon, ESPN, Visit California, Visit Anaheim, Visit Greater Palm Springs, Delta Airlines, Jackson Family Wines, and the California Wine Institute. With a week-long schedule of programming, including 7 panel discussions and 15 live performances, USA House shone a spotlight on the diversity of experiences that travelers can find across the USA. And our head of social media, Corrales Rivera Aponte, joined our CFO, Don Richardson, for IGLTA's annual meeting just recently in Osaka, while a group of us the same week were hosting Brand USA's Travel Week just over in London. And we'll talk a little bit more about Travel Week in a moment. Jackie Ennis and the travel trade team recently hosted 90 travel agents from South Korea, the UK, and Ireland across 2 incredible megafams, showcasing the diverse experiences of the US, taking them across 22 different states and 35 cities. We thank each of the local partners and the airlines that helped host these important travel sellers. And as the industry looks to 2025 and everyone advances planning for FY26, understanding the current global travel landscape is always essential. And so with that, I'd now like to invite our head of research, Rosina Barber Stefano, to provide us with an overview and the latest forecast. Rosina, over to you.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to walk you through some of the latest data on inbound travel. Today, we'll cover 3 main indicators: visitation, spending, and air capacity. And I'll highlight the opportunities we see for continued growth. In a nutshell, here's what we'll cover in the next few slides. Year-to-date visitation and spending, just picking up on what Fred just said, are both showing double-digit growth compared to the same period last year. Scheduled air seat capacity has surpassed pre-pandemic levels, and then the latest Oxford Economics forecast expects continued growth at a moderate pace with some slight adjustments. Let me start by showing you the total international travel to the US. It's up until August. Keep in mind that visitation figures from Canada and Mexico are typically reported about 2 months behind the overseas figures. So year to date, we've seen a 10% increase in total visitation, which amounts to 48 million visitors. This puts us at 90% of where we were in 2019 at the same period, signaling a strong recovery. Now, looking at the breakdown of international travel from this same period. From overseas markets, we welcomed 23.1 million visitors. Canada contributed 14.1 million visitors, and Mexico had 10.8 million. This shows a nearly fully recover from Canadian visitation at 98% of pre-pandemic levels and Mexico visitation at 92%. As mentioned, we have more recent data for overseas travel. So let's dive a deeper here. Through October, we welcomed 29.4 million overseas visitors, which is up 13% from last year, and that it equates to 86% of pre-pandemic levels. October itself brought a 3.2 million arrivals, making it the third highest month this year for overseas visitors, following August and July, and reflecting strong momentum. Europe, which accounts for 36% of overseas visitors, shows a 9% increase year over year and is now at 89% of pre-pandemic levels. A key point to highlight is the strong growth we're seeing from Eastern Europe, especially Poland, which joined the visa waiver program back in late 2019. But with the pandemic, it got interrupting to see those benefits. We're seeing them materialize now, boosting travel from this market. Asia, with a 27% of the share, is the fastest growing region, with a 25% increase year over year. This rapid growth reflects the region's ongoing catch-up to pre-pandemic levels due to the late start in the recovery, at 75% of 2019 levels. Asia recovery is accelerating, signaling a strong potential, but that said, still lagging. South America is approaching pre-pandemic levels, showing a 12% increase year over year and a 15% share of total overseas market. The Caribbean is also performing well, reaching 93% of pre-pandemic levels with 10% growth, and Central America stands out, surpassing 2019 levels at 18% over 2019 and a 4% share of the total, led by growth from markets like Guatemala and Costa Rica. Oceania, Middle East, and Africa, though smaller in total share, show steady increases. Oceania is now at 78%. It's also lagging, same than Asia, to pre-pandemic levels. The Middle East is at 98%, and Africa has fully surpassed 2019 levels with 4% over the same period, led by a strong growth from Nigeria, South Africa, and Ethiopia. In summary, this positive trends across all regions underline the path to new record-setting levels for some markets and the strength of recovery for others. Let's look at the top 10 overseas markets. Here are some highlights. The UK leads the list with 3.4 million visitors year to date. It shows a 4% increase, reaching 84% of pre-pandemic levels, highlighting consistent demand. India continues to stand out with nearly 1.9 million visitors this year, which is up 27% year over year and an impressive 48% compared to 2019 levels, which leads the way in growth. Germany is nearly a full recovery with 1.7 million visitors, showing a 10% increase year over year and bringing it to 97% of where they were in 2019. France and Brazil, also strong. France reaching a 92% of 2019 levels with an 8% increase, while Brazil is at 88% with a 17% growth compared to last year. Italy has fully recovered with 2% over 2019 levels and over 930,000 visitors. Japan, though, is at 27% year over year, is still only at 49% compared to 2019 levels. China has shown the highest year over year growth with 56%, but still lagging with 55% of pre-pandemic levels. Just even though I'm showing you only the 10 top here, it's worth highlighting a few other markets and the strengths of these markets. For example, the Dominican Republic, which ranks 15 among overseas markets, as well as Poland and Turkey. Those have not only surpassed year-over-year visitation, but they're setting pre-pandemic level records. Markets like this, alongside the top 10 in these slides, contribute to a well-rounded recovery and underscore diverse opportunities for further growth. Now, let's talk about spending. From January to September, total travel and tourism exports have surged to nearly 189.3 billion, up from 165.5 billion last year, representing a 14% increase. And importantly, we're surpassed pre-pandemic spending by 6%. This shows the ongoing strength of the travel sector and how visitors are contributing more to the economy. In fact, September marked the 7th month this year in which spending exceeded 21 billion. May stands out as the peak so far this year, setting an all-time record to date with 21.7 billion in monthly spending. Looking ahead for the rest of the calendar, while growth has moderately, slightly declined in recent months, spending remains strong and steady. Historically, the final month of the year tend to outperform the annual average, so we are expected to continue a robust growth throughout the end of the year. Now switching to air capacity, US nonstop flights are up compared to both last year and pre-pandemic levels. While this growth is partly driven by the increase on outbound US travel, Mexico, for example, we're also seeing significant increases in nonstop seats destinations like the DR, Turkey, and Colombia. The expansion of those nonstop routes is enhancing global connectivity and creating more opportunities for international travelers to visit the US. Now let's get this into my region. Europe, it's seeing strong growth with seat capacity expected to reach nearly 48 million in 2024, surpassing pre-pandemic levels. New routes like New York to Munich and Newark to Faro are helping fuel this growth. In North America, we're seeing a significant increase of seat capacity from 40.9 million to 44.6 million in 2024, surpassing 2019 levels. New connections like Seattle to Nassau, Miami to Ocho Rios, or even Toronto to West Palm Beach, to name a few, are expanding options for travel. Asia has seen a rebound to 17.9 million seats, up from 14.4 million in 2023. Though it's still short of 2019 levels, new routes like San Francisco to Beijing or Seattle to Taipei are improving connectivity. Central America has shown the most significant growth from 9 million to 10.2 million seats, surpassing 2019 levels, with new routes like Denver to Montego Bay or more flights to Belize. These new nonstop routes are improving global access to the US, providing more opportunities for international travelers. And to wrap things into the macroeconomic indicators, I'd like to share the latest forecast from Oxford Economics. It was published at the end of October as part of the regular updates. With nearly 3/4 of US inbound visitation data now available, the updated forecast expects continued growth, though at the slightly more moderate pace than was originally anticipated. This latest forecast expects 73 million international travelers by the end of the year, reflecting a 10% increase over 2023. There are a few highlights that I would like to mention. Canada is expected to show steady growth at 2%. Mexico is expected to see a significant growth at 17% over 2023. India, as mentioned, is expected to continue its impressive growth and end the year more or less with 21% increase over 2023, which would represent a 44% growth over 2019 visitation. Germany and the UK are expected to see more moderate growth with increases of 10% and 4% respectively. China is forecasted to continue its recovery with a 47% increase over 2023, but it's still expected to be below 2019 levels and only reaching 56% of those levels. Latin America is expected to show growth with markets like Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina. Colombia, for instance, is projected to grow by 10%, reaching 9% over 2019 levels, signaling continued strength of this region. So overall, in terms of regional performance, Asia is expected to lead with 23% of the increase over 2023, driven by strong markets like India and Japan. Europe is projected to expect more moderate growth at 8%, with the Eastern European markets leading in the growth rate. North America overall is expected to see an 8% increase, continue being the key source of inbound travel. As the year progresses, the forecast indicates the growth will continue, with particular focus on strengthening visitation from India, Mexico, and Latin America. To wrap up my remarks, first, we're going to see strong recovery in inbound travel. In terms of regional growth, just as I said, Asia and Europe are slowly increasing, with some regions like Central America, Eastern Europe, and the Caribbean fully recovered. And the standout with India, looking at the top 10 markets, great performance from those. Said again, India, Germany, and Brazil, not only both Italy and Poland surpassing pre-pandemic levels. Visitor spending were up 14% year over year, surpassing pre-pandemic levels. Air capacity, again, are already setting new records and fully recovered from pre-pandemic levels. And then in summary, we're seeing a well-rounded recovery across regions with emerging opportunities in markets like India, Latin America, and Eastern Europe, alongside continued strength of our top markets like the UK and Germany. And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you very much, Rosina, for that very thorough accounting of the changing landscape. It's wonderful to see how positive all the indicators continue to be. Speaking of accounting, looking ahead, we are preparing to bring to the board at the spring meeting, of course, our final and audited FY24 financials, and we expect another unqualified audit. So huge thanks to the team. Yeah, knock on wood. Huge thanks to the team for their impeccable and incredibly thorough work. But for now, I'd like to turn to Don, our Chief Financial Officer, to provide a quick look at the preliminary unaudited 24 financial highlights.
Thanks, Brad, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm pleased to report our highlights for FY24. They're good results, so that makes this report an easy thing to do. Our total revenues for the year was $132 million. That is $21 million more than our budget, so it was a great year. But I think one of the things that we should highlight in particular is the cash contributions, which were $68 million. That is the highest it's ever been in our history. So thanks to our partners, thanks to our partner services group for a great job. We take this as a confirmation of our strategies that are underlining our goals. And so thanks for believing in us. Our expenses were under budget by about 6% at $253 million. Our cash reserves remain very strong, and we more than met the match requirements for our promotion fund. So at the end of the day, it was a great year. Strong revenues, underspent budget, cash reserves are strong. We met all of the match requirements. So happy report.
Very happy indeed. That's terrific, Don. Thank you. As Don highlighted, the figures showcase so well just how much our partners continue to find strong value in our programming, and that's a commitment that we continue to make to you, obviously, into the future as we expand. So let me thank the industry for your continued and remarkable support. To reiterate again, we will present final audited financials for FY24 along with our FY24 annual report to the board at its next meeting. Now I'm going to ask our Chief of Corporate Affairs, Aaron Woden-Schwartz, to set up the conversation around FY25 highlights.
Thank you, Fred, and thanks to the board for being here, to everybody that's tuned in today. We are about a month and a half into our fiscal year, fiscal 25. And as a reminder, at our last meeting in July, the board voted to approve our FY25 business plan. Primary elements of this business plan include our top line organizational objectives, the marketing plans, and the budgets that we'll use to achieve those objectives. The plan since that board meeting in July has been transmitted to the Department of Commerce per the Travel Promotion Act. The Secretary has approved those objectives in consultation with the Secretaries of State and DHS, as I said, per the Travel Promotion Act. And everybody can see all of our plans, including FY 25, all of our reports, most recently FY 23 on our corporate site, thebrandusa.com. So feel free to go to thebrandusa.com and see those. And just as a reminder, this slide shows the top line organizational objectives for fiscal year 25, the specific strategies and all the KPIs that support those strategies for each of these objectives is available in that full plan. So with these top line objectives in mind, first, to establish and maintain the USA as the preferred global travel destination. Second, to contribute to community prosperity by driving international visits and spend. Third, to lead and engage the stakeholders of the US travel industry. And fourth, to maintain excellent organizational integrity and reputation, setting the standard for the global travel industry. With these objectives in mind, we're now going to provide a look at 3 example programs that are illustrative of how we will go about this work over the course of the current fiscal year. And so with the first such illustrative example, I'd like to turn it over to Susan Zacher, our Senior Director of Brand.
Thank you, Erin. Hi, everyone. Susan Zacher. I'm thrilled to introduce an exciting new partnership that we've recently launched with Expedia. This initiative directly supports those first 2 organizational objectives that Erin just shared, helping us to solidify the USA as the ultimate travel destination, while also boosting local economies by driving that incremental visitation and spend. So together with Expedia, we've developed a robust full funnel campaign aligned with our brand positioning. And this campaign focuses on one of our key content pillars, the Great American Road Trip. This campaign delivers the message that the USA is a destination that's worth exploring, offering something special for everyone. It specifically focuses on those unique and surprise and delight experiences that only a road trip can uncover. Targeting the Canadian and Japanese markets, this campaign kicked off last week and it will run early next year. It spans the entire consumer journey, so from inspiration to booking, showcasing a very diverse range of destinations, experiences, activities across the country. And beyond the campaign itself, this partnership has opened doors to new opportunities that we've never had before, both on the B2C and B2B side of the business. At the heart of this campaign is our creative platform, which we're calling A Somewhere for Everyone. Here is the idea behind it. Go in any direction in the US, and you'll find vast, ever-changing landscapes, skylines, and attractions. No 2 corners of the country are alike. That diversity allows a place for every traveler, no matter their personality, tastes, or passions, to experience something that resonates with them. Here, there's a somewhere for everyone. The hero piece of this campaign is a short film that showcases a family on a road trip from San Francisco through Oregon, with each family member finding something that suits their own personal interests. So let's take a look at that. And in addition to the hero film, we've created, like I said, a full funnel ecosystem to guide travelers through every stage of their journey. So at the top of the funnel, that hero spot really captures attention with its high impact, emotionally engaging content. Then moving down the funnel, we maintain relevance by highlighting specific US road trip itineraries and really deep diving into the different destinations that could be available to a traveler. And then finally, at the bottom of the funnel, we drive action with tactics that are designed to convert the interest we've drummed up and create bookings. One standout lower funnel tactic that I just want to call it in particular is the custom microsite. So we've designed an editorial style microsite where travelers can create personalized itineraries that Expedia likes to call tri-itineraries. What we love about this is that these tri-itineraries feature 3 destinations based on a traveler's chosen vibes. So for example, someone could go to the website and they could search for a trip that is serene, nature-filled, and fancy, and then instantly receive a curated road trip from Miami to Orlando with 3 stops along the way that are tailored exactly to their chosen preferences. And even better, these itineraries are fully bookable on the microsite, creating a really easy, streamlined process for our travelers. And then finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, this partnership has unlocked some groundbreaking opportunities beyond just the full funnel campaign itself. We're very proud to be one of the first DMOs to leverage Expedia's travel shops. These first of their kind shoppable social storefronts empower creators and brands like us to share travel recommendations that travelers can easily save and also book. We now have the ability to tap into Expedia's B2B network to incentivize hoteliers in our featured destinations to provide deals or promotions, helping us again to just further amplify the impact of the campaign. Additionally, we've joined Expedia's TAP travel agent events with Brand USA representatives serving as keynote speakers for that. And then finally, additional value is being generated through targeted SEM campaigns, driving to content on hotels.com that's tailored for US travelers and is also directly bookable. So as I mentioned, this campaign launched last week on November 12th. It will run through the new year. We're incredibly grateful to the Expedia team for all of their collaboration and hard work, and we are really looking forward to seeing the results. So thank you so much. With that, I'll pass it to Jackie for an update on trade.
Susan, can I ask a question? How did you decide on Canada and Japan? Is that dictated by Expedia, or what made you decide on Japan?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so it was a little bit of Expedia, a little bit of us. Canada is a top market, both for Expedia and us. We also know that market has a propensity for road trips. And also, we really felt like it was important to create urgency with the Canadian market and really kind of reinforce coming here and having that seamless booking experience for them. Japan is one where it's an emerging market for Expedia, so they are heavily investing right now and really trying to build up their brand presence. And so they had an initiative going on, and this campaign is kind of coming in on the tail end of that to continue the momentum there. It also aligned really well with the US-Japan tourism year.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jackie Ennis, very nice to be here today. Just a quick update on global trade. Brand USA will be coordinating sales missions to 9 target markets in 2025. The first of which is Mexico, January 13 to 17, followed closely with the India sales mission, January 19 to 24. Through the year, we will execute missions to Brazil, Colombia, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and South Korea. Pending right now is China. We are currently in the final stages of our RFP for trade and public relations representation, and we will determine shortly if there will be a mission to China in the coming year. As mentioned, the 11th annual India sales mission will take place January 19 to 24. For the second year, we will maintain the mission in just one city. Our choice this year is Hyderabad. Hyderabad is a historic city in southern India, a major technology center. It has the largest Google campus outside of the USA, plus campuses for Apple and Amazon, amongst many others. The sales mission is currently sold out with 44 companies and 58 delegates attending, our largest delegation to date. New exhibitors to the mission include the Arizona Office of Tourism, Washington State, Explore Minnesota, New Orleans and Company, Travel South Dakota, and Travel South USA. We are delighted that they are able to join us this year. The US partners will have one-on-one pre-scheduled business meetings with approximately 90 leading tour operators over a 2-day period. The approximately 90 buyers will be hosted from across India and will come from 15 different cities. In conjunction with the sales mission, we will run our second media mission, which currently has 10 companies and 10 delegates registered. Note that the media mission is not sold out, and so if there is any interest in attending, please contact us directly. The PR delegates will have the opportunity to learn more deeply about the media landscape in India and also to meet with leading media representatives in one-on-one meetings. And as we've heard from Rosina, India is one of the fastest growing international inbound markets to the USA. Currently, as of the end of October, it is the second largest source of overseas international visitors, with nearly 1.9 million visitors, representing a 27% increase on last year. These figures also represent an incredible 48% increase over 2019. As such an important target market, we wish to provide a unique opportunity to gain more insight and understanding of what is propelling this incredible growth. And therefore, we'll be introducing a CEO immersion visit for the first time this year. The immersion will parallel both our sales and our media mission, with the aim of showcasing the opportunity, the possibility, and the potential of India. We will hear from in-country experts about what is driving the rise of this affluent middle and upper class that is leading the boom in outbound travel, plus insights into the travel, media, and consumer landscapes. This is really an ideal program for those who have never traveled to India and are looking at the Indian market for the first time, and perhaps to see it through a different lens. There is definitely still space available on the CEO immersion track, but the deadline is this week. It's actually November 20th. So if you have any interest at all, please reach out and we'll be happy to accommodate. Back to Aaron.
Great. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Susan. The final program we wanted to highlight today, as illustrative of how we're going about our work here in FY25, is our recently completed Brand USA Travel Week UK in Europe. As a reminder for folks, Travel Week was one of Brand USA's innovations in 2019 to facilitate more connectivity between the US travel industry and the UK and European distribution and media and communications channels. And while, of course, many people still find value in some of the big legacy trade shows, especially the more well-resourced DMOs and brands, Travel Week creates an efficient and effective way for stakeholders of all shapes and sizes to find success in the European market. Now in the 6th edition, this event has really become a marquee point on the calendar for so many in our industry. Travel Week UK and Europe provides participants an even playing field and facilitates pre-scheduled business meetings, as I said, between US travel suppliers and the top qualified UK and European buyers and media. Travel Week is also an important platform for Brand USA to broaden the product available in market, to drive positive coverage of the USA, and to advance our own thought leadership among the travel industry on both sides of the Atlantic. And as we just completed the latest edition of this event a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to provide a couple of highlights from this past year. So we brought together some 900 industry stakeholders and facilitated more than 6,800 B2B meetings. The event showcased 179 US exhibitors and hosted the decision makers from top 183 UK and European tour operator organizations, as well as 15 US-based receptive tour operators. Our participants engaged with 83 major UK and European media outlets, and notably this year, we hosted over 70 CEOs from the United States on their own track at Travel Week. Finally, our enrichment series brought forward insightful thought leadership across a range of salient topics today in the travel industry, including generative AI, accessibility, aviation and consumer trends, expanding access to travel products, US visa and entry policies, and much more. And finally, this year's Travel Week event also generated nearly 200 pieces of coverage across key titles in the UK and European media landscape, as well as on social media. The estimated reach of these pieces is approaching 65 million individuals. And while this slide shows headlines generated directly by Brand USA, including our brand new CEO, Fred Dixon, the coverage also focused on our partners and their local communities all over this country. So all in all, we feel this was another successful year for Brand USA and for partners at Travel Week 2024. We look forward to great innovative things in this event in the future. I also wanted to thank the 4 board members that joined us in London for the event, as well as other board member organizations. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Todd, for the rest of our program.
You'll notice I'm sticking to the script. No, I mean, not the script, the agenda. I do want to pause though for just a moment and just commend the staff. it's such important work. And sometimes it's just the little things. Rosina, what you did when you were providing us with the forecast, making sure that every continent felt, that was represented. You spoke to Africa, which is a continent we don't always speak of here and haven't necessarily in the past, but it's been a point of discussion here, and you've made sure that it was brought forward today. And Susan and Jackie and Aaron, I mean, again, your updates they're thoughtful, they're actionable, they're measurable. You tied it back to the objectives, that are in the plan, which make it very easy for us as board members to be able to directly track that work back. So again, thank you for what you're doing. And I know you've got a suite full of folks behind you that are making it all look easy, right? But thank them for us as well, please. All right. The next item on our agenda under other board business is our leadership elections. And since our last board meeting, I've had the opportunity to meet with our governance and nominating committee, and made up of, I apologize that I don't have a slide that specifically names them here, but I want to thank Alan as a member of the governance and nominating committee, along with Tim Mapes, and why am I suddenly drawing a blank? Don Moore. Because Don's not here, he's online though. So Don and Alan and Tim were absolutely engaged. When I reached out to them, we kind of agreed we wanted to reach out to each member of the board and speak about your interest, learn more about your interest in serving in leadership, if not in calendar year 2025, in perhaps in a future year as well. And you step forward with an earnestness and an eagerness to serve. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. But it's, again, just a testament to you as individuals who have raised your hand and said, yeah, I'd like to come and do this service together on the Brand USA Board of Directors. With that, I'd like to start by asking if Jake or Alan, I'm going to look to you, if I may, to provide us with a recap of our decisions.
So we took on the task very seriously, and one of the things we want to make sure is define each of the roles pursuant to the statute, which is most importantly, so that we were projecting and doing the appropriate things for the organization, and that there was a correct communication between the board and the organization. So we did that, and you will find the resolution within the board papers.
Right. So that resolution and these list of officers were provided to you as board members as a pre-read in your packet. Also, just as a reminder, since this is our annual meeting, we're also reappointing Fred for an additional 4 months as our president and CEO. And if this all goes according to plan, Elliot, after that 4 months, it's yours to resolve what to do with the next 4. But to obviously retain Fred as our president and CEO, Don as our CFO, and Jake as the assistant secretary. So with that, I will ask for a motion to accept the slate of officers, and if I may, I'm going to gang them together, the resolution that was provided to you as a pre-read that better defines, more fully defined, the roles and job descriptions of our officers. Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the slate of officers is accepted. Fred, that, and with your new officers on the horizon, I'm going to turn it over to you for the look ahead. So,
Thank you, Todd, and congratulations to you, Elliot, and to the other officers newly elected today. We are excited to work with you in these new roles. We will work with Elliot to determine the best cadence and timing for the 2025 meetings. And we, of course, will be sharing those back with the board and the industry once we have those set shortly. So while executing against our FY25 objectives, as Aaron highlighted, we've also started our FY26 planning. We'll bring forward our FY 26 business plan to the board at the spring meeting, which is earlier than you're accustomed to. This new timing allows us to better align with the planning cycles of our partners and get further ahead of our work. And we intend to provide new engagement opportunities for the partners to provide input throughout this entire process. So we're looking forward to that. The events taking place, as has been mentioned in 2026, are top of mind for us as we build forward, of course, the World Cup, Route 66 100th anniversary, and American 250. They're going to provide unprecedented opportunity to harness international interest and excitement. And we're building out programs for each of those events. And we'll have more to share with you, of course, on those topics very soon. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the meeting back to you for any final thought and questions.
All right, if I may, this is where I'm going to call a little bit of an audible. Before doing closing thoughts, I'm looking at Colleen and she's like, okay, you can do this. Before doing any kind of closing thoughts, which I'll do as we adjourn the meeting, I do want to open it up for any questions or comments. First of all, from the board, if there are any questions or any comments, anything that anyone that's on the board would like to share at this time.
I just have a quick question on India. I was trying to reflect back, were there any policy changes or anything that really helped accentuate?
No. From a forecast perspective, I think it was being under
Under
forecast.
Mm,
And they just been showing very strong, but I don't recall any changes.
It's interesting.
That we should be calling out. It's just very strong.
Do we know middle class as far as affordability, is that I would imagine is helping quite a bit too?
I'd also be curious, what do they come for leisure travel, VFR, or business travel?
It is certainly way more than usual, but
Primarily, I'm sorry, primarily leisure.
VFR is still very strong with strong ties with education, so.
I think we do have the breakdowns for you, Mike. We could probably give you those percentages.
I was going to say, I know for us in Oregon, we've really seen India pop as a market for us. I mean, 10, 12 years ago, it's a market we may not have necessarily been seeing register in the top 10 or 12 markets, and now it easily does. And part of that is the presence of Intel and driving some of the business travel, but it also is driving more of the VFR and the leisure as well because of who is coming to work at Intel as well. So we've certainly seen the mix.
And there's a greater visa, State Department has done a good job in sort of visa processing. They've made it a little bit easier in a lot of ways. And they cleared a lot of the appointments. One of the hurdles were people going back to India to do a visa revalidation process, which they brought back to the United States. And so that alleviated a lot of appointments.
Jackie, I had a question for you in terms of China. So I know it's on the fence because of the variables in which you just referenced, but how likely will Brand USA be in China in 2025?
I
What
would
are your
say
thoughts?
it's highly likely.
Okay.
I think we'll do a mission of some shape or form. It's just a question of timing because of the trade activities. Our other trade activities, we don't want to cannibalize our own events in terms of having a mission overlapping. But in some shape and form, we will be back in China.
Great. I think that, as we all know, before 2020, China was leading economically and in other variables in terms of visitation to the US. And I know you know this, Fred, I know you know, and the rest of the team, that we've got the best opportunity there. Speaking of India, Mike, Fred and I were in India in 2023 when the visa process was, to say the least, very compromised, and we got a lot of negative feedback from the market in terms of being able to come to the US. I think now, fast forward, and the event that we had both attended a couple of weeks ago at the State Department, and the record number of visas and the record number of passports being issued, positive momentum has really helped, because what we heard in 2023 is that they really want to come here, but they just can't. And that still is a reoccurring comment as we're looking at variables such as flights that can't come nonstop, especially to the East Coast. So looking forward to learning more about what we're doing in China.
If there are no more questions or comments from the board members, Aaron, I will turn to you and see if we have any questions from the audience.
Yeah, we do have one or two coming in, some of which I think have kind of been addressed here, but one, Rosina, for you. Just about if you could restate the number of Mexican visitors from the beginning. If you don't have it handy, I'm sure we can. This presentation will be available online, so folks can go see that.
10 point so far.
So just as a reminder to the public, yeah, this recording and the presentation will be available at thebrandusa.com as all of our meetings are. And so you can go find that data there as well. We do have a couple of anonymous questions just about how to engage with us for people that are interested in, I think, rep firms that are interested in getting in touch with the trade team. So I don't know if there's kind of a standard email that the trade team would use to field those kinds of incoming offers to be helpful.
We do have a generic, but I've forgotten exactly what it is, but I know my own email, so jennis@thebrandusa.com.
So Jackie Ennis, who oversees those offices, that's somebody you can get in touch with if you have ideas about representing Brand USA in market in the world.
Thank you.
I think that's all we have online. Oh, Roseanne.
It's 10.8 million visitors year to date, meaning from January to August.
So that's the number of Mexican arrivals in the US so far, 10.8 January through August. Great, thank you. Mr. Chair, that's all we have for now.
All right, great. Well, then in closing, if I may, Fred, first of all, thank you. It's been a great first 4 months. I look forward to future sections of 4 months as we move ahead. But seriously, it's been terrific, Fred, and exciting to see what's occurring with the team. The energy is obviously very, very present in this room and in the presentations. So it's exciting to see that work moving forward. And I've heard you say several times about how there's a solid foundation that has been laid, and upon that we can build for the best days that are still ahead. And you've been more than gracious in that as we look ahead. So Fred, I want to thank you. I want to thank the members of the senior team and really all the staff, because I know the work that's going in at every level of this organization, and love having the opportunity to interact with the team. I know how my team feels about the folks that they have the pleasure of interacting with when they're traveling abroad, working on media events and trade events and the like, and how much they revere the professionalism that you all operate with, you and all your fellow team members. You know, every sector of our industry, every business in every one of those sectors, really every citizen of the United States, all 300+ million of us, benefit from the work that this organization does, whether they realize it or not. There is benefit that is brought to them because of the work of Brand USA. And because 300 million people will fit in this room, on their behalf, I thank you for the work that you do. Elliot, I'm really excited for you. Congratulations on your election and assuming the chairmanship of Brand USA, and to all those that have been elected to serve in leadership of this organization as we enter 2025. As Fred says, our best days truly do lie ahead, and I'm excited to be serving with each and every one of you. With that, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Tom.